Hello and welcome our beloved viewers to RTD's News English Edition. As usual, begin tonight's news with the major in top highlights. Let's follow. The head of state chairs the 13th Council of Ministers meeting. And on the international scale, a North Korean ballistic missile flew over Japan. Those were our major top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. Under the chairmanship of His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, President of the Republic, Head of Government, took place this Tuesday, October 4, 2022, the 13th session of the Council of Ministers. The following texts were examined and approved. Let's listen.
Rahman Rahim, sous la présidence du chef de l'État, Son Excellence M. Ismail Omar Guelleh.
First question, draft law approving the 2020 and 2021 financial accounts of the National Agency for State Information Systems. The financial accounts of the National Agency for State Information Systems for the 2020 fiscal year are closed with an income of 292,938,636 and expenses of 290,925,231. The institution has undertaken investments related to the equipment of the National Data Center as well as to furniture and air conditioning equipment. During this fiscal year, NC continued to develop solutions for the benefit of the administration in the production of implementation of studies, e-government strategy 2020-2022, and its financial accounts for the year 2021 are closed with the income of 267,295,688 and expenses of 274,510,738. In 2021, NC proceeded with the update of the e-government portal, the creation of official portals for public administration, notably that of the presidency, and the continued implementation of the integrated electronic document management systems, as well as the establishment of the national interoperability platform. The objective of this project is to ensure the financial accountability of public establishments and public enterprises. Ministry of Economy and Finance in charge of industry. Second question, draft law on the ratification of the grant financing agreement and the conditional loan financing agreement for the Djibouti Health Systems Training Project. The purpose of the bill is to ratify a loan agreement in the amount of 10.5 million SDR, 2.4 billion Djiboutian francs, and a grant agreement in the amount of 878 million Djiboutian francs between the Republic of Djibouti and the International Development Association signed on 7 June 2022. The objective of this financing is to improve the utilization of essential material, non-natural child, adolescent, reproductive health and nutrition services of good quality by prioritizing underserved areas for refugees and host communities. This project has three components, namely strengthened service delivery platforms, institution building, and project management. The terms of the loan are consensual with a maturity period of 40 years and a grace period of 10 years. Third question, draft law on the ratification of the concessional financing agreement for the risk reduction, inclusion and enhancement of pastoral economics in the Horn of Africa project. The purpose of the bill is to ratify a loan agreement for a total amount of 446,276,814.40 Djiboutian francs between the Republic of Djibouti and the International Development Association concerning the project of risk reduction, inclusion and development of pastoral economics in the Horn of Africa. This regional project, which includes Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, aims to improve access to financial services for pastoralists to mitigate drought risks, include them in the value chain, and facilitate livestock trade in the Horn of Africa. The project also includes a sub-agreement with the PTARE for the implementation of a serving climate insurance policy to protect pastoralists from the financial impact of climate-related disasters and also public infrastructure from floods. The project will be implemented by the Ministry of Agriculture, Water, Fisheries and Livestock and Fisheries Resources with the establishment of the steering committee and the technical community. This project has four main components: the establishment of a sovereign climate insurance policy, private investment in livestock, value chains and trade facilitation, and the establishment of quality infrastructure and the creation of a livestock trade and logistics facilitation. Ministry of Interior, fourth question, draft decree amending decree number 27/08076/PR/mid on the statutes, operating procedures of the Board of Directors and organization of the Djiboutian Roads Authority. The purpose of this draft decree is to amend decree number 27/076/PR/mid. This is a public establishment of an industrial and commercial nature with legal and financial autonomy. The office has implemented several international projects on the theme of waste. including the construction of a technical landfill in Duda, the supply of equipment for the waste services, and the implementation of a new solid waste collection system in the neighborhoods of Balbala in June 2019. The government wishes to strengthen the household waste recycling sector in order to allow the creation of energy in the recovery of waste by resorting to the concourse of the private sector with international companies specialized in this field. In order to allow this partnership between the OVD and another private entity, the modification of the statute of the office remains necessary in accordance with the provisions of the law number 55/N/19. Let's listen now to the second part of the Council of Ministers.
Question concerne un projet d'arrêté portant.
Fifth question, draft decree amending and supplementing decree number 2021/017/PR/MI establishing the financing modalities of the National Registry of Natural Persons. This draft decree modifies the provisions. Indeed, as part of the digital transformation of society, the government has set up a centralized and biometric computerized registration system for natural persons. To this end, it has invested in cutting-edge technologies to reform identity management and the creation of enrollment centers throughout the national territory, giving the substantial investments required to operationalize the personal data management system and the need to mobilize additional resources. The proposed reform makes it possible to review and adapt the contribution methods of the various institutions involved. The main objective of this project is to strengthen the implementation of the ongoing program for the establishment of the National Register for National Persons. Sixth question, draft decree amending decree number 2019/332/PR/MEFI, organizing the Center for Leadership and Entrepreneurship. This draft decree dictates the modification of the Board of Directors of the Center of Leadership and Entrepreneurship, created by the law number 12/N/18F. The Register, the Center for Leadership and Entrepreneurship, is a structure in charge of ensuring the development of entrepreneurship in Djibouti. This device was completed by a decree. This draft decree aims to adjust the composition of the Board of Directors of the Center for Leadership and Entrepreneurship. Seventh question, Ministry of the Budget, draft order on the forfeiture of the plot of land located in Balbala allocated to China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation, Djibouti. The purpose of the draft order is the forfeiture of a parcel of land of 128,000 meters, 12.8 hectares, not built in provisional concession located in Balbala Zone, PQ12, allocated to China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation, Djibouti, by virtue of order number 2016 MB, dated 29 December 2016. The said parcel thus forfeited is returned to the private domain. 8th issue, draft order on the allocation of a plot of land located in Balbala for the benefit of the company Greenville Holding. The purpose of the draft decree is to allocate a parcel of land located in Balbala to the benefit of the Greenville Holding Company with an area of 6 hectares. This plot of land is intended for the realization of a residential program project. 6th question, draft order amending order number 2022/061/PR/MB, allocating a plot of land to the Ministry of Health. The purpose of the first draft order is to amend order number 2022/061/PR/MD. It is allocated to the Ministry of Health a plot of land with an area of 5,000 meters located in the Merjog. This plot is intended for the Entomological Research and Vector Control Center. Communications. The Minister of National Education and Vocational Training gave a mission report on his participation in the Education Transformation Summit held from September 16 to 19, 2022 in New York. This global event provided an opportunity to present MENFOP's achievements and commitments in education. He also reported on his working visit to Havana. The Minister of Labor in charge of Formalization and Social Protection reported on his participation in the 48th session of the Arab Labor Conference held from September 17 to 25 to 2022 in Cairo. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, received this afternoon at the Palace of the Republic an important Sudanese delegation composed of several ministers. The ways and means to promote bilateral and frontier relations between the two brotherly countries and revitalize that already privileged partnerships and cooperation between the Republic of Djibouti and Sudan were the focus of the talks. The discussions were then extended on the way to further endorse the levels of exchange between Djibouti and Khartoum in several key sectors, including agriculture, port, industry, and economy. The Sudanese delegation was composed of the Sudanese Minister of Transport, Mr. Hisham Ali Bouziad, the Minister of Industry, Mrs. Batul Abbas Awad, the Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Abu Bakr Umar, as well as the Secretary General of the Ministry of Irrigation and Water, Mr. Ibrahim Dolbet. Djiboutian Coast, the Djiboutian side, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, the Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Muhammad Ahmed Awal, as well as the Minister of Infrastructure and Equipment, Mr. Hassan Ahmed Ibrahim, and the President of the Authority of Ports and Free Zones, Mr. Abu Bakr Umar Hadi, as well as the Secretary General of the Presidency, Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi Wa'is, took part in this meeting. The Sudanese Minister of Transport, Mr. Hisham, expressed his thanks to the President of the Republic for his warm welcome, then added that the Sudanese delegation and the President had fruitful discussions to revitalize the exchange between Djibouti and Sudan. He said that the Sudanese delegation had talks with their Djiboutian counterpart during this working visit, during which they set up a strategy to consolidate the partnerships and cooperation between Khartoum and Sudan. The Sudanese minister did not fail to recall the relations woven by the soiled historical ties between Djibouti and Sudan. The Regional Council of Arta hosted this morning a workshop for the improvement and development of detailed plans for urban development of the city of Arta in the capital and the interior regions. The prefect of the region of Arta, Mr. Mohammed Sheikho, took part in the presence of the president of the Regional Council of Arta, Mr. Ilmi Bouh, officials of the decentralized services, representatives of the ministry in charge of decentralization and the city of urban planning and housing, as well as the firm KIOS in charge of urban management and the civil society. This launching workshop will be followed by several workshops and field missions in each of the city that constitute the object of the study. This project responds exactly to the expectations and aspirations of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, in particular the Zero Slum Project. Restructuring reworking existing neighborhoods and have detailed development plans will facilitate the lives of citizens in the Arta region. A reception of the Djiboutian Literary Year was held last night at the French Institute of Djibouti. It was in honor of two famous Djiboutian writers who proceeded to the launch of their new works, namely Mr. Moussa Kako, author of the collection of poems Mosaic, and Abdul Maki, author of the collection of short stories Iro, published by Franklin. The omission was palpable in the authorship of the IFD, a moment of exchange and sharing which allowed two Djiboutian writers to present their collections. The evening which was rich in emotion, saw the participation of a myriad of personalities of the Djiboutian literary world, such as Mr. Idris Yusuf Ilmi, Mrs. Aisha Mohammed Roble, Mr. Ilyas Ahmed Ali, Mr. Moussa Suleiman, and Dr. Aboita Moita. The cultural officer of the French Embassy and director of the French Institute of Djibouti were both pleased with the success of the launch of new collections, also congratulated the two writers to continue in this direction because writing inspires and challenges the youth who is and remains the future of tomorrow. During the analysis and presentation of the new books, which is the highlight of the evening, that authors have both lulled the audience en masse by the rhythm of their voice. Recall that it is through this event to put a spotlight on the efforts and work carried out by the association called the Compass of Knowledge to promote Djiboutian talent and in doing so stimulate the motivation of so many young people. Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, Chief of General Staff of the Armed Forces, presided this morning over the ceremony of transfer of command of the Rapid Action Force. The ceremony started at about 7:30 a.m. with the arrival of the Chief of Staff of the Army, who was welcomed by the interests of the Chief of Staff of Defense, Brigadier General Tahir Ali Mohammed, the Chief of Corps, and the Chief of the Corps of the Rapid Action Force. Defense Colonel Major Mohammed Kayat Guelleh, the Prefect of Arta, and his first advisor, the President of the Regional Council of Arta, and his deputy, the Senior Staff of the Security Forces and Defense of Djibouti, as well as the senior officials of the Djiboutian Army. Reviewed the Troop of Honor of the Rapid Action Force before beginning his speech of transfer. In this speech, he congratulated Colonel Ibrahim Ali Farah for all the efforts he accomplished during his command time in the FAR and expressed his full satisfaction while wishing him good luck in his new function as Chief of the Corps of the Dikhil Regiment. Major Mohammed Umar Farah was appointed as the new Chief of Staff of the Rapid Action Force and revived all the encouragement of the General Semga, who will help him to fully assume his responsibility as Chief of Staff and to take the necessary measures to be up to the missions that will be entrusted to him. The Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces did not omit to ask all the non-commissioned officers and soldiers to maintain their operational skill and cohesion in order to succeed in the various missions assigned to them. Finally, the Chief of the Defense Staff ended his speech with the condolence to the families of the martyrs who fell in combat on October 3rd. It is with great sadness that we learn of the terrorist attacks on October 3rd in one of our 4 areas of responsibility in Somalia, On behalf of the government of the Republic of Djibouti and on my own behalf, I would like to pay tribute to the 2 soldiers of the Djiboutian army who died in combat, as well as the Somali victims of the explosion in Sector 4 in Beledweyne, Somalia. We also wish a speedy recovery to the Djiboutian and Somali soldiers, as well as the inhabitants of the locality who were wounded during this attack. I salute the courage and determination of our soldiers who are leading the Artemis mission alongside the Somali armed forces and African countries against the armed terrorist groups. We will continue and complete this mission to the end, and whatever the cost, until peace is fully preserved. At the end of the speech, and once the handover is all done, the rising chief of corps as well as the FAR troop performed the traditional military parade under the distinctive gaze of General Semga and honorable guests. Thereafter, and after the signature of the official documents, all the military and civil authorities were invited to a solemn breakfast, around which was given various gifts and presents. Finally, this day ends with a photo souvenir that brings together all the members present at the ceremony. The Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, gave a speech praising the efforts made by Colonel Ibrahim Ali during the past years, who was the battalion commander. As follows.
الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين.
It is with great sadness that we learn of the terrorist attacks of October 3rd, 2022 in one of our 4 areas of responsibility in Somalia. On behalf of the government of the Republic of Djibouti and on my own behalf, I would like to pay tribute to the 2 soldiers of the Djiboutian army who died in combat, as well as to the Somali victims of the explosions in the Sector 4 in Beledweyne, Somalia. We also wish a speedy recovery to the Djiboutian and Somali soldiers, as well as the inhabitants of the locality who were wounded during this attack. I salute the courage and determination of our soldiers who are leading the ATEMS mission alongside the Somali armed forces and African contingents against the armed terrorist groups. We will continue and complete this mission until the end, and whatever the cost, until peace is fully restored. To our Somali brothers, finally, on this painful occasion, I present to the families of the illustration Death for Peace, to the Djiboutian government and to the Djiboutian people, all of whom have suffered greatly, my most sincere condolence. Eternal peace to their souls. Amen. At the end of the speech and after the handover, the Chief of Corps in the FAR troop carried out the traditional military parade under the distinctive look of the General Semga and the honorable guests.
Terpu! Presente! Ouvrez les bancs. Officier, sous-officier, militaire.
The Chief of the Defense Staff ended his speech with his condolence to the families of the martyrs who fell in combat on October 3rd. It is with great sadness that we learn of the terrorist attacks on October 3rd in one of our 4 areas of responsibility in Somalia. On behalf of the government of the Republic of Djibouti and on my own behalf, I would like to pay tribute to the 2 soldiers of the Djiboutian army who died in combat, as well as to the Somali victims of the explosion in Sector 4 in Beledweyne, Somalia. I offer my sincere condolence to the families of the Institute's Death for Peace, to the Djiboutian government and to the Djiboutian people, all of whom have been sorely tired. Eternal peace to their souls. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un, concluded Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim.
dowladda caalamka uga qaataan dowlad kale oo walaalaheena ay gargaar iyo gurmad u galaan dowladdeena u garato ku garab kashada waxaan 10 sanaan halka imaka joognaa oo Ilaahay nagu asturay shalba intaasina soo gaadhay ummadaha kale in ka badan baa soo gaadhay inta Ilaahay baan ku sabreenaa Allah iyaka Allah u naxariisto kuwa halka ku dhintay waa shuhada kuwa wax dilayna waa munaafiqiin weeyaan waxaan leeyahay inta arimatay ummadda kale Soomaalida ku dhimatay badal kale meesha joogan Allah u naxariisto kuweenana Ilaahay si gaar ah ugu naxariisto Ilaahay markay naga ducaynayna si gaar ah Allah ugu naxariisto dadka kuwii naga habeen xili iyo dadkeen
I salute the courage and determination of our soldiers who are leading the Artemis mission alongside the Somali armed forces and African contingents against the armed terrorist groups. We will continue and complete this mission to the end, and whatever the cost, until peace is fully preserved. On behalf of the government of the Republic of Djibouti and on my own behalf, I would like to pay tribute to the 2 soldiers who died in combat, as well as to the Somali victims of the explosions in Sector 4. We also wish a speedy recovery to the Djiboutian and Somali soldiers, as well as to the inhabitants of the locality who were wounded during this fatal attack. During the ceremony, the Rapid Intervention Forces performed a military parade. Let's watch. After the military parade, the official documents were signed in, and they supported us to exchange tax between the two leaders. Shifting gears towards the international scene now, a North Korean ballistic missile flew over Japan. This is the first time since 2017 that Japan has carried out such a launch. Let's follow.
They fired a ballistic missile over Japanese archipelago for the first time in 5 years, with the projectile reaching the longest distance ever for a missile launched by Pyongyang, the Japanese government say. Japanese Defense Minister Yasukazu Hamada told reporters that North Korea's missile flew 4,600 kilometers, putting it within reach of the U.S. military territory of Guam, where key military bases are located at the altitude of 1,000 kilometers. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said he is scheduled to hold phone talk with the U.S. President Joe Biden later in the day over the missile launch.
We now move to Brazil, where it's the second turn of the presidential elections. Let's follow.
Brazil's top two presidential candidates were naked and naked late Sunday in a highly polarized election that could determine if the country return a leftist to the helm of the world's fourth largest democracy or keeps the far-right incumbent of office for another 4 years. The race is incumbent President Jair Bolsonaro against his political nemesis, the leftist former President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. There are 9 other candidates put their support pledges to that for Bolsonaro and da Silva.
Well, by this hour of Loud viewers, we finally conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us, and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening. Take care. Thank you.